Minister Le Maire, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us here today, especially during this time. I feel like you're one of the best people who I could speak to about one of the countries that's central to the direction that Europe is going to be taking in the coming years. Let's maybe start with the biggest question, the pressing question. Great Britain has left the European Union. Angela Merkel is stepping down after 16 years, leading the European bloc. France is now seen as one of the key players that has to step into a role of guiding Europe in a certain direction. But it feels like with COVID, with Russia, with the world's economy, there is a lot to do. What is France's plan for moving Europe forward? And is it an optimistic outlook?
Very optimistic. And our plan is quite clear. We want a stronger Europe. We want a Europe that will be more independent. And we want France to play a key role in this building back better of Europe. I'm totally against this way of thinking that France would be on decline. France is absolutely not on decline. France is booming, Europe is booming, and our best years are for our children.
It's interesting that you say France is booming and France is not on the decline. And yet there are people in France who may feel the opposite. And I only say that because what I've learned in America, and we learn it all around the world, is the reality may not necessarily match the perception that some people have, and that perception can oftentimes be more powerful in terms of determining who gets to lead.
But we want to avoid a kind of Trump's experience in France. I really think that it would not be the best way for France. But we have 30 or 35% of the French population which stands ready to vote for far-right parties.
Right.
So we need to understand why. I think that there is a question of identity. There is a question of fear. People are concerned by the COVID. People are concerned by the rise of China. People are concerned by their own identity.
Yeah.
And we need to respond to those questions while avoiding new divisions in the French society. Once again, we don't want to live what you have lived with the Trump experience in the United States.
Let's talk a little bit about some of those things. You recently had a debate with a far-right conservative in France who, is on a news program that is very far-right, and some people would say it's similar to Fox News, and he's planning to run in the country, and he's stoking those fears and those divisions. I would love to know if we start with identity, because that's a key one in France. France has always had this beautiful idea: forget religion, forget your race, forget everything else. We are French and we are French together. It seems like there is now starting to be a rift between some who say being French is only attainable fully if you are white and a Francophile, or being French is only fully attainable if you are willing to, get rid of all of your cultural ideas. And some argue that being French only should be reserved for people who are white and of European descent. How do you bring those two worlds together without anyone feeling alienated, but also trying to get to that ideal?
But I think it would be a total mistake to think that you can only be French if you are white and if you have hairs of 100, 200 or 300 years. I think it would really be a mistake. You can be black, you can be white, you can be a Muslim, you can be Jew, you can be Catholic, you can come from Brittany or you can come from Morocco. That's not an issue, provided that you love France. I've debated with Eric Zemmour. He's pretending like Zorro, Z.
Yes.
He's pretending to rescue the people. He's not rescuing the people. He's dividing the people. He's fueling the people with fear and with hate. That's exactly what we want to fight against. There is an American dream based on the possibility to become rich and to be successful.
Right.
I like the American dream. But there is also a French dream, which is based on freedom, which is based on equality, which is based on fraternity. We are all responsible for the future of the nation. And that's the key point of the French dream. I have the French dream in the roots of my heart. And I will fight against those people which are trying to divide the French society, which are trying to put the people against each other, because I really think that it cannot be the future for France.
Do you think France could do a better job of giving everybody access to the French dream who is in France?
Yes.
We've seen stories of people who have names like Diallo not getting interviews, or people who are Muslims struggling to integrate into French culture. Do you think France could do a better job of that?
Yes. Yes, let's be very frank. We could do a far better job. And we have to take into account the difficulties of the people who are of foreign origins, who are trying to do their best to be successful in the French society, to have access to the highest position, and they are facing big hurdles. We should get rid of those hurdles, and we should make its place for everybody, which is taking the right decisions and which is doing its best efforts to be successful. I think that we can do far better on that field.
Let's talk a little bit about geopolitics. Right now, one of the biggest pressing issues in Europe is the conversation around Russia. I know that President Macron recently spoke to the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and it seems like all of these discussions, whether it's with Putin, whether it's with Biden, seem affable on the surface. But on the border of Ukraine, there's an army that has gathered, and Europe seems to be worrying about what that might mean. Now, most countries seem to believe that any militaristic intervention would be the worst possible outcome. We see Afghanistan, we see the world. People do not have an appetite for war. However, many people wonder what the European Union would do if Russia were to invade Ukraine. Is there any idea of a plan in place?
The plan is to be very clear towards Vladimir Putin. If there is any attempt to the Ukraine border, then the consequences for Russia will be very bad. And you know, there is one thing that we should really avoid, which is any kind of military action, because military action is never the solution. So we have been very clear, both President Biden and President Macron, we will never accept any attempt and any threat against Ukraine.
Do you think financial sanctions will be enough as a threat?
Financial sanctions might be a possibility, but not the only one.
Another conversation in and around France, very dear to my heart, obviously, coming from the continent, is the conversation between or around France and its former colonies. For a long time, many Africans have felt like France, and not alone in this, you know, the same thing with Great Britain, etc., has done a terrible job in reconciling with its past actions in Africa. To Africans who speak French, who have lived under the French for so long, and who now say, we are struggling because of a past of colonialism, what do you think France could be doing better on the continent to try and right some of its wrongs? I mean, we know we live in a world where everyone was conquered, everyone was invaded, so I'm not even saying it's a blame thing. Do you think there's something France could be doing to try and improve the relationship between these African countries and the country of France?
I think that we are doing our best to try to build reconciliation. And reconciliation is a key word, of course. Reconciliation means understanding the past of all those countries. Reconciliation means that you have to be respectful. Reconciliation also means providing help to those countries. You were just speaking about COVID. COVID is a nightmare for everybody.
Right.
But what the hell, if you have all the Western countries being successful in fighting against COVID, and you have African countries without the possibility of fighting COVID and facing the pandemic, the result will be negative for all of us.
Right.
So helping the other countries could be also a solution. Very last point on that, the economic support that we are giving to African countries is absolutely key. You run the risk of having a new great divergence from an economic point of view between the European continent and the United States on the one side and African countries on the other side.
Right.
We should definitely fight against that big gap between the two continents.
Are you doing anything to try and insulate African countries from China and the influence that they're in? Because it seems like a new type.
Question.
It seems like a new
Very
type of
good question.
colonization.
I think that there is the old type of colonization, and we are trying to build a reconciliation. And there is a new type, I would not use the word colonization, but a type of influence, which is a very hard one, coming from China. And we are explaining to all African countries that we have to build a new partnership based on an equal footing. Equal footing is absolutely key. And maybe they could be a little bit more cautious vis-à-vis China.
Well, Minister Le Maire, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Trevor Noah. Thank you
Merci.
so much.